4-star competition that's now at the Kentucky 3-day. This 3-star here is an incredible opportunity for young horses, and we start with quite a young one, Frankie, in the just 7-year-old Quiberon for Doug Payne.
Yeah, I know this is a horse that Doug thinks a lot of. He's got quite a lot of horses coming up through his stable, and ones that have been with him a really long time, this horse included. And you know, Doug's such a professional. He has so many great horses in his stable, like I said, but he also, you know, really knows how to polish a test. And we're going to see him kind of teaching this horse along, bringing him into this big atmosphere is a great opportunity for the future of not only Doug's horse, but everyone we're going to see in this division today.
I think one of the things we're talking a lot about in the sport at the moment is consolidation at a level and when to move up. It's interesting here that we look at a rider with all the experience of Doug. This horse has been top 10 at this very level. 3-star long already this spring at Tryon in North Carolina. Obviously this is a championship, so it's a great opportunity to really get this horse's name out there and maybe attract, you know, new owners into the stable. But I still think that, again, this is Doug's path for this horse, is to say, this is the 3-star long consolidation year. Just because we had one good 3-star long run, we're not going to ramp up just yet.
Well, these are the championships too, and it's important to remember that, John, because if you have a horse who really competes well here and a top finish in this division, that's not something to take lightly. That's a really big deal. And these championships in this big atmosphere, this is a serious competition.
You might sort of say, what atmosphere is there at 8:30 on a Thursday morning? But actually, you know, especially for these young horses, even just the nature of this ring, and you can hear the music in the background, there will almost certainly be caterers somewhere ready to drop a pile of plates as well.
Absolutely. Even that big screen, you're going to see some horses, I would think, take a look at that, the big screen that's got, you know, the names and all the information on it. Some horses really don't love that. And we don't normally see that screen so visible for the horses. There were a lot in the practice sessions yesterday, kind of taking time and spending a little bit of extra time over there, get a good shot of it there. And really, it becomes important because there's a lot to look at around the ring, not just if the crowd's here.
So we saw Doug just having to work a little bit on the walk, and that's quite often a thing with dressage horses. And again here, he would just like the frame to be a little bit more together. The horse is just down a little bit through the shoulder, you would say a touch on the forehand, but these are, you know, minor details. But if you look at this horse's scoring average at the international level, they've actually rarely cracked 30 penalties, which is 70%.
Yeah, and I think you see why. You know, this is a younger horse, like we said, and he still travels a bit down in front, low in the wither. You want to see him kind of come up in the collection, and then the points will increase and his score will be better as a result. But right now, you know, there is relaxation mentally. The horse is with Doug, and there's a lot to like if you think, you know, long term toward the future here. It's not going to best the field this test, but again, you know, the horse is giving Doug, I think, what he's capable of right now. He does a good downward into walk there, a nice upward, but in the upward you can kind of see how he gets away from him in the contact just a little bit.
Actually, that simple change through walk as well, you know, we're so used to watching flying changes, but there are so many transitions in that, so many moments that you have to get right down into the walk, getting the walk right, back up out of the walk into the canter on the other lead. There's a lot for the rider to do, there's a lot for the horse to do there. It shouldn't be written off as a simpler movement than a flying change.
No, it's definitely, you know, the flying change asks another level of collection, but it does really require that the horse is on the rider's aids. And it's funny, as these horses get to know these tests, you'll see some, I'm sure today, anticipate that and come across, and the rider will really have to keep riding to get it at the letter. And that's going to be what these judges are looking for today. It's not only can you do the movement, but can you do it very, very accurately. And that's really the decision, the decipher in somebody who's going to best this field and somebody who's going to be in the middle of the pack going into the next phase of competition.
But as we'll keep talking about all weekend, it is unlikely, it's very rarely likely here at Fair Hill in October for, you know, this to be a dressage competition. Yeah. We are expecting, just like last year, we're so lucky, much better than usual Fair Hill October weather, particularly for cross country, but it is still a very, very tough, very hilly cross country out there.
Yeah.
So Doug wraps up his test there with Quiberon, As I say, Doug and his wife Jess currently own this one, the 7-year-old, by Quite Easy. Quite Easy, very, very well respected continental sire over in Europe. This one actually bred in North America in the Oldenburger stud book by Elizabeth Callahan.
There you see he almost has so much movement in the trot that it's a little bit difficult for him. And as he gets stronger, as he gets older, he'll be able to kind of tame that a little bit. But what I loved about this horse and this whole test, John, was that he continued from a mental standpoint to really stay with Doug. And that's something you can't teach. If you have the best horse in the world, but they're a little bit loco in the brain, you can't make the best performance on the day. And this horse from a mental standpoint was right there with Doug. So that's something that's going to be very, very helpful in their future.
So we will get the scores through in just a moment. Our judges for this competition: at C, Peter Gray. Peter, who was a member of the grand jury at the recent World Championships at Bertoni in Italy, and judging at B, Valerie Pride, here of not only of the USA but of Maryland. Valerie, who rode 5-star here last year and has been over with us in Europe riding at the top level and judging at the top level as well. She's had a great summer with us. So we see the good marks there: 150.5, 143.5. It gives 70% exactly. It gives 30 penalties for Doug, and that is up there with the horse's best at the level he'd love to have tipped over into the high 20s here today. But we could just sort of see from the way the test was going